Welcome to OneWeb's 12th launch show here from the Science Museum in London. It's been quite the year in OneWeb's mission, an impressive 8 launches in 2021, and the momentum is really building. There are now 358 OneWeb satellites up in low Earth orbit. The end target is a constellation of 648 satellites to provide high-speed internet from space right across the globe. So OneWeb are now more than halfway there. And everything is on track to complete the full launch program by this time next year. And agreements are being signed now that will bring high-speed internet to places where that previously seemed unimaginable, transforming businesses and rural communities. If you've been following OneWeb's progress, you'll appreciate how their team is pushing the boundaries of technology. And you have a sense of why their mission is so important, to remove the barriers to connectivity across the globe and to deliver connectivity that drives positive change. Let's start with a quick recap of this impressive past year for OneWeb. OneWeb is truly connecting the unconnected.
The response to our Innovation Challenge 2021 was huge.
The OneWeb engineering team fly the fleet of satellites 24 hours a day, and those satellites are constantly circumnavigating the globe every 90 minutes.
OneWeb has grown from 50 heads this time last year to over 450 OneWebers today.
Welcome to the latest OneWeb satellite launch.
I'm delighted to be here at OneWeb's next successful launch.
We're really at the threshold of doing something truly exciting. It will have a very profound impact and connect the world globally.
Now, time for a reality check. The benefits of satellite communication are easy to see, but getting those satellites up into low Earth orbit is anything but easy. Each launch requires meticulous preparation and expertise. And today, just as in every one of the previous 11 launches, OneWeb is achieving its launch goals thanks to the support and expertise of Arianespace. Their team provides the Soyuz rocket that carries the OneWeb satellites into space. And wherever in the world the rocket launches from, Arianespace monitor every second of operations from their HQ in France. Let's hear now from Arianespace CEO Stéphane Israel for his update on the latest step in the OneWeb mission.
Good afternoon, everyone. We meet again for our launch just in between Christmas and the New Year's evening, a special time of the year for a very special flight. In fact, our launch ST-37 is going to be the 15th and the last of 2021. Today's mission will place 36 more OneWeb satellites into orbit. Our flight will last 3 hours and 45 minutes and include 9 consecutive separations, delivering our passengers at an altitude of 450 kilometers. Afterwards, the satellite will raise themselves to their operational orbit at a more than 1,000 kilometers from Earth. With this 8th OneWeb launch of 2021, Arianespace will officially deploy more than 60% of the constellation with 394 satellites already orbited. Flight ST-37 also stands out thanks to its configuration. For the first time, we will not launch 34 but 36 satellites from the Baikonur Cosmodrome thanks to the optimization of our passengers' masses and the completion of a new flight program specifically developed for this mission. Once again, our team demonstrated its dedication towards our client ambition. to bring connectivity to every place where fiber cannot reach and thereby bridge the digital divide. This moment is a fruit of many months of teamwork all around the globe. To make all of this possible, our Arianespace and StarSem staff have been working hand in hand with OneWeb and OneWeb satellite experts. We also collaborated with Soyuz authorities and manufacturers, our Russian friends from Roscosmos, RKC Progress, NPO Lavochkin, and Senki, to be able to operate this launch today. A real show of team spirit that sure matches this holiday season.
One of the core principles of OneWeb is putting people and customers first. And in the past year, the OneWeb team has grown to over 400 people worldwide. So who better to hear from for this special launch show, looking back at the year, than some of that all-star team?
My name is Lilo Gemelli. I am the launch campaign manager for OneWeb here in Kazakhstan, and I follow all the activity of the launch campaign.
My name is Roland Coelho. I'm a launch campaign manager number 2, supporting Lilo for this launch campaign.
I'm Kyle Appel. I'm the lead electrical technician here, and I'm just basically making sure the satellites are happy before they take off and go into space.
Yeah, we're just excited, for hopefully another successful launch to close out this year. We know it's been an amazing year for OneWeb and all of its partners. So definitely looking, to cap this off with another successful launch.
I'm glad to be part of a team where we're bringing worldwide internet. I grew up in a small rural town, and I know a lot of my parents and a lot of my friends. We don't have really good internet access. I'm just happy to be here, even over Christmas, to try to bring that to them.
Kazakhstan is a desert environment, so there's not so much water, but we have snow. We had snow, I think, 1 week ago, but now it's white somewhere, so it's desert, so not so much.
Also, too, there's wild camels and wild horses roaming around, so we get to see them on the drive, back and forth every day to the launch base.
I have to say, our life outside the hotel, it's not very, I would say, we don't interface so much with the city, because when we arrive at the hotel late in the afternoon, it's already dark, it's too cold. But we are going to celebrate Christmas in the hotel all together, all the people that are involved in this mission. So I think, yes, we are going to have our Christmas day together. I think we are going to be in total, because there are several companies involved in this launch. So I think we'll be maybe 20 people, more or less, around.
I have friends back home where I grew up, as well as friends back in Florida. My family, I miss them. Usually I go back for Christmas, but this year I guess we're going to have to push it back a little bit.
My wife in Florida, and my sisters are in Italy, so I'm going to think about them. But I hope to see them after this mission.
And all my family is back in Hawaii, and so definitely missing out Christmas, this year with them, but headed back home to Hawaii, sometime in January.
The preparations for a launch begin many weeks in advance. The OneWeb satellites all have to be carefully arranged in the dispenser, located in the upper part of the Soyuz ST-37 launch vehicle. Then 3 days before the launch, the assembled Soyuz, which is consisting of the upper stage and the 3-stage rocket blocks, is transferred to the launch pad. It's transported horizontally, and then it's raised up into its vertical takeoff position when it reaches that launch pad. It is a beautiful thing to behold. Let's take a look. We are now going to go live to the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan to see the liftoff of Soyuz ST-37, Launch 12 in the OneWeb Launch program. And here it is. This is our live feed from Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. We've got just over 2.5 minutes left to lift off. We can see the Soyuz ST-37 launch vehicle there in its position on the launch pad. Now, the theme for this launch, Launch 12, is what a year. We're going to be looking back at 2021, the challenges that we've overcome along the way and the opportunities that it has presented. This launch will place a further 36 satellites into orbit, building the constellation from 358 to 394. And while I am here sharing statistics, back on Earth, there is now a team of more than 450 OneWebers split across sites in London and the USA, and also in many remote places around the world, from Alaska to Botswana, from Canada to Southeast Asia. We'll be hearing from some of them after the launch, so stick around for that. Let's welcome one of the team on now then. It's OneWeb's VP for Space Infrastructure Development, Maurizio Vernotti. Maurizio, ciao. How has the year been for you at OneWeb?
Hey, ciao, Greg. Hello, everyone. Thank you. What a year indeed. For me, I would say OneWeb has had a year of innovation. We're constantly pushing forward. This year, we hosted 2 industry days, one in Europe and one in the United States, and launched OneWeb's first innovation challenge. It's all about working together with the wider space industry to keep our constellation at the forefront of space technology.
Well, congratulations to you and the team on everything you've done this year. How are preparations going for today's launch?
All is set, and we are ready for the launch. And before we go further, I do want to give a shout out to all our OneWeb colleagues and all our launch partners, teammates out at the launch site preparing for today's launch. They've been there for a few weeks now, all through Christmas. So we appreciate all their work over the festive season. And even if for some of us, Christmas was celebrated just a couple of days ago, for our colleagues in Kazakhstan, the big Christmas celebrations actually start after today's launch. So thank you all for making this. Back to your question about launch preparation. Over the last few hours, the Site Operations Center, the SOC, has run through its series of checks so that the team is ready and waiting to pick up the signal from each satellite after it separates from the upper stage. At T-minus 45 minutes, the SOC team gave the final go for launch. Battery status has been monitored, and right now, 36 satellites are warm and cozy inside the fairing at the top of the Soyuz rocket.
And here we go. Let's watch and enjoy this. There we have it. Liftoff for OneWeb Launch 12. Maurizio, how are you feeling?
Oh, marvelous. This is so exciting, Greg. So right now, we are seeing the first stage booster engines doing all the work, pushing up against Earth's gravity, and they will burn for just under 2 minutes. At the run pass, the operational team is tracking and receiving telemetry data information from the launch vehicle. This is how they will be able to confirm the major flight events and when they have occurred.
And what will the satellites in the fairing at the top of the launch vehicle be experiencing?
So right now, the satellites are experiencing an acceleration of about 4 Gs, which is similar to riding an extreme white-knuckle roller coaster. This is the start of their 4-hour journey before all the 36 satellites are released.
So they're on their way to low Earth orbit right now to become part of the OneWeb constellation. Take us through, if you can, Maurizio, how they're going to separate from the rocket when the time comes.
The satellites are released in a predetermined sequence of 9 separations. Each separation consists of 4 satellites, with the first release starting 1 hour and 11 minutes into the mission, and the 9th and final separation occurring 3 hours and 45 minutes after liftoff. They will be released at an altitude of 450 kilometers and will take a few weeks for them to reach the operational altitude of 1,200 kilometers, slowly moving in an upward spiral. Once a satellite is released, its onboard computer wakes up and communicates with the team at our Satellite Operations Center, who monitors the so-called LEOP phase.
That sequence always amazes me. It should be booster separation any second now, so we're going to keep our eyes peeled on whoever is chasing this with the camera. What are we looking for, Maurizio? Oh, there it was.
Yeah, Yeah, it's getting closer. We'll be looking for the first stage cutoff and booster separation. This will occur after the booster have burned all their propellant. At that point, they're no longer required and are jettisoned to shed weight.
Now, I know we're just looking at a light, but I think I saw it. Yes, Arianespace have just confirmed that we have had first stage booster separation. Are we now at maximum acceleration then, Maurizio?
Yes, we have the maximum acceleration level at the end of the first stage flight phase. This is thanks to the 4 boosters we just separated. They're arranged around the central core and producing a thrust of 340 tons at liftoff. Right now, the job is to get the launch vehicle away from the Earth.
So we saw the first stage booster separation, just little dot, and those were the live cameras. We're now going to switch to animation. We don't have onboard cameras for today's launch. So the second stage has ignited. Maurizio, what happens during this stage of the flight?
So the second stage engine will burn for just under 3 minutes, and after it's jettisoned, it will be followed by the fairing separation.
Let's talk about the fairing then for a minute, if we can, because that is what is currently protecting the satellites, yeah?
Indeed, Greg. In this initial phase of the launch, the fairing protects the 36 OneWeb satellites which are sitting in the upper part of the Soyuz launcher. At the liftoff, there are acoustic vibrations and also friction, which occurs when the launch vehicle is flying through the dense part of the atmosphere at a very high speed. Hence, the fairing plays the fundamental job of shielding the satellites from the severe conditions during the initial phase of the
And in about a minute, we'll be at an altitude where the fairing can then be jettisoned, right?
That's right. So when we are high enough, there is little atmosphere left. So there's no need to maintain the fairing on the launch vehicle to protect the satellite. So the fairing is jettisoned after the second stage engine cutoff and separation. This would be the first time we would be able to see the satellites. And if we're up there, we'd be able to see that they are attached to a central dispenser in a configuration that resembles a corn on the cob.
Yeah, I love it when you describe it like this, the corn on the cob. So how are the OneWeb satellites released from that corn on the cob style central dispenser?
So the central dispenser is attached to the frigate in the upper part of the launcher, and this frigate is the smartest part of the launch vehicle. It has its own brain, and it's able to execute the maneuvers necessary to position the dispenser so it can execute the satellite separation. It's like a school bus drop-off. It will release 4 satellites per stop in a series of 9 separations in total. The frigate, our celestial bus, as we call it, has only 1 gear, and after each drop-off, it becomes lighter. The frigate will have to fire its engine for a shorter period of time after its separation for this very reason. And I think that we're just seeking confirmation from Arianespace that these events have occurred, correct, right?
Yeah, so we just saw on the animation there that this would be the time where the second stage engine would cut off, the third station engine would ignite, the second stage would separate, and then the fairing would separate. So I'll just wait for confirmation from that in my ear. Tell us a little bit more, Maurizio, what happens after the satellites have been released from your celestial bus, as you put it?
Indeed. So once the satellites are released, the onboard computer wakes them up. And the team at the Startup Operations Center take control of the satellites. And in the meanwhile, I think, Greg, we just received confirmation from...
We've just received confirmation, yeah.
Everything is progressing nominally. So it will take several weeks, a few weeks for them to reach the operational altitude at 1,200 kilometers. As we said, they're slowly moving in an upward spiral.
Maurizio, thank you so much for joining me live for the launch, sharing your knowledge as always. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Always my pleasure. Thank you, Greg. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. That is not it from me just yet, though. We want to continue our look back at what OneWeb have achieved this year. Let's start with their mission to bring the first connections to customers. Earlier, I mentioned 50 degrees north. It's also known as the 50th parallel of latitude, and it's an important line on the map for OneWeb. It's the first area of the world that will be covered by a OneWeb satellite broadband service from orbit. It's a vast area of the world which stretches from the North Pole to the southernmost tip of the UK, and it includes Northern Europe, Canada, and the US state of Alaska. Within that area are many remote communities whose connectivity with the wider world has, until now, been limited by location, connection speed and cost. However, in July 2021, OneWeb's 8th launch delivered the last of the satellites needed to be ready to deliver satellite internet above 50 degrees north. Let's have a look back at that moment and what it will mean in this part of the world.
Now, the theme of today's particular launch, which I love, is Hello North Pole. Yes, we are going to say hello to the North Pole, which has never before been connected to the internet.
We're Strategies 360 from Anchorage, Alaska, and we're excited to connect rural Alaska with the world.
We are ready for the launch.
Hi, my name is Hassan Hossein, and I'm Chief Executive Officer over here at Denali Brewing Company in Saltillo, Alaska. OneWeb's high-speed, low-latency internet connectivity is important to me because without internet connection, we just can't get the job done.
We are so excited about the connectivity that OneWeb brings to all of those hard-to-reach places in Canada, from coast to coast to coast.
Hi there, I'm Melissa Thorpe, and I am the head of Spaceport Cornwall. We're providing responsive access to space, and with OneWeb and their low latency connectivity, that will be responsive access back to Earth so that we can connect rural areas like Cornwall better than ever before.
I'm delighted to be here at OneWeb's next successful launch as it completes its 5 to 50 program.
Earlier in the show, I mentioned some of the people that will benefit from the initial OneWeb service switch on, which is going to be taking place later this year. Let's now hear from 3 of these countries. Liesl, I'd love to hear from you just some of the key challenges when it comes to delivering broadband across Alaska. What problems are you guys up against?
Alaska represents 1/3 the entire landmass of the United States of America, and our population is only 737,000 people. So if you can just imagine all of these beautiful Alaskans living out their lives, learning, receiving medical care, entering into the commerce stream, we've been left behind in many ways. We refer to it as the digital divide here in Alaska, and OneWeb represents an opportunity to meaningfully close that digital divide in a way that we haven't been able to.
And Joe, do you suffer the same sort of problems when it comes to connecting Canada? What kind of challenges do you have to overcome?
Yeah, so certainly similar to what Liesl said, we have connectivity challenges because we have such a large landmass as well. But we're super excited about the OneWeb partnership for another reason, and that is the national sovereignty of Canada, where we have government operations in the far north, our territorial Arctic waters, where connectivity, broadband connectivity for ships on the move and military forces on the move are quite crucial. And OneWeb certainly complements our portfolio of solutions for those customers.
Great. So you're going to be using it both on land and at sea. Neil, love to hear from you. I mean, when you think of the UK, you think it's pretty well connected, but there are still some sticking points when it comes to everybody having broadband, aren't there?
Yeah, look, Georgie, we're in the UK, we're a knowledge economy, and to really take part in the core business of the UK, you've got to be connected. We have many places in the north of Scotland, the Highlands and Islands, where it's difficult to build, it's expensive, environmental challenges as well. Wales and some of the rural location of Wales, but actually all over the country you'll find a not spot. And OneWeb's capability really helps us plug those not spots in a really great way and brings those people into that knowledge economy and lets them take part and be successful.
Well, listen, that's all we have time for. Thank you so much, Liesl, Joe and Neil, for joining us today.
Perhaps the biggest advantage of high-speed broadband from space is that it can be delivered literally anywhere, from the top of a mountain to the middle of the ocean. And that provides a crucial benefit to something we all rely on but rarely see: shipping and offshore operations. Real-time, reliable access to data isn't just about streaming your favourite movie on a cruise ship. For maritime businesses, access to that data helps in myriad ways, from improving the timeliness of tracking and cruise scheduling to vital environmental impact monitoring. Technologies to boost cleaner shipping are ready and viable today. The pressure to adopt them is growing, but the lack of mid-ocean connectivity capable of delivering them is stopping many operators from making use of new tech. This is where OneWeb is part of the discussion and the solution, developing high-speed, low-latency communications and data transfer services that will have a powerful role in decarbonising shipping. Let's continue our look back on OneWeb's 2021 journey, this time with a maritime focus.
With the help of my guests, I'll be exploring what ESG really means for shipping's value chain, its investors, its people and their future.
Yes, connectivity with a purpose is very much one of our mantra. And when you strip away all of the technology, the satellite and the complex rocket launching, we have this strong purpose at heart. This is the core of our business. So for me, connectivity is this foundation layer that's onto which you can build your digital strategy and onto which you build your ESG strategy. Connectivity is so relevant to the seafarers. You talked about the seafarers. I was reading the Seafarer Happiness Index, saying that's 1.9 million seafarers in 2021, and their happiness towards feeling isolated is really going down. It's one of the most isolating carriers on the planet. And I think connectivity can change that in both ways. Connectivity enables the automated ship, highly automated vessels. And who knows, maybe half of the crew will actually now operate the ship from shore and effectively have a much better work-life balance, possibly interest I wouldn't say the millennial now, but the Gen Z to move into shipping. Connectivity is also a fundamental layer enabling the regulator to effectively demand from ship owners to demonstrate compliance all the time, everywhere. And that will effectively sift actors between the good citizens of this world and the others.
And that's what OneWeb wants to be, a good citizen.
We want to be a good citizen. We are very much committed. We want to walk the talk. We want to support the vessel as a platform of opportunities. I just want to see all these vessels gathering health on all the oceans all together, and effectively shipping moving from a polluting industry to very much confirm its place as the most cost-efficient, safe way to transport goods around the world.
For nearly a decade, we've been promised mid-air, mid-flight connectivity that delivers a true broadband in the sky experience. And it may be a while since you've been on a long-haul business trip, but I'm sure you'll remember that the reality of in-flight Wi-Fi is patchy and expensive. And this is what the reach of space-based, high-speed global broadband is going to transform. And it's not only about in-flight entertainment. Fast, reliable and always-on in-flight Wi-Fi means a flight doesn't have to mean being out of the office. If required, this service can seamlessly deliver cloud computing, virtual meetings and online trading. This is why aviation is another key sector in OneWeb's customer base. And here is what they've been up to this year.
No matter where they are, the airline passenger of today wants reliable connectivity, and the passenger of tomorrow will demand it. But we all know that in-flight connectivity has never been able to match the home or office broadband experience. Until now. Month by month, we're growing our fleet, and soon we'll have network coverage that's as global as you are, delivering in-flight connectivity to passengers over every continent, ocean, and polar route. Our fleet is always on the move, orbiting the Earth in a constellation designed to create seamless global coverage. Each satellite uses a set of 16 beams to cover an area the size of Alaska, and is proven to guarantee in-flight connectivity no matter how remote your aircraft may be, even across the widest oceans. With our low Earth orbit satellite technology, you can be confident your passengers' connectivity experience will be limited only by their imagination, not the available bandwidth. Thanks to aviation, the world is better connected. And now, with OneWeb, aviation can finally stay connected to the world.
I have had confirmation from Ariane Spass for third stage cutoff and separation and frigate insertion into orbit. So all is nominal, and this is where we are going to leave our Launch 12 live show. The mission continues, of course. As Maurizio said, those satellites will soon start being dropped off at an altitude of 450 kilometers. They'll then make their way up in that spiral journey to 1,200 kilometers, and you can follow the final stages of that all across the OneWeb social media channels. A big thank you again to Maurizio for joining me live, plus the entire team at OneWeb and Ariane Spass for the launch today. A mission like this truly does take an incredible amount of teamwork and collaboration, and it is always an inspiration to see. So thank you all, and congratulations OneWeb in being another step closer to your mission goal. Thank you for watching. Happy New Year, and we will see you again in 2022 for Launch 13. Goodbye.